Welcome back to Fridays with Frazier. This Friday, we're going to discuss the topic of the schedule for next year at the high school and also the junior high, and the elimination of the block schedule. So there's been a lot of information that's been spread over the last 3 weeks. Some of it has been inaccurate. Some of it has been maybe misinterpreted. So hopefully in the next couple of minutes, we're going to be able to clarify some of those issues and give you some of the reasons why we're doing it. Give you some facts to look at and maybe to think about, and then some possible solutions that we're going to have towards the end. First of all, the question is why? So why now? Why all of a sudden? The reality is it isn't all of a sudden. This has been something that we've been monitoring for the last 5 years. There are 3 specific metrics that we have been looking at that, quite frankly, we've got to be able to move the needle. One of those is chronic absenteeism. One of those is graduation rate. One of them is our composite ACT scores. All 3 of those scores have been fairly flatlined. There hasn't been a lot of growth in those areas. So what does that mean in regards to block scheduling? Well, let me give you some data so that you'll understand where we are going with and why we believe that the 7-period day is going to benefit all of our students. This last legislative session in the spring, there was a new law that was passed that dealt with graduation requirements. Currently, right now, the graduation requirements of the state of Oklahoma is 23 Carnegie units, or 46 credits. That number hasn't changed in the state, but what makes up those numbers is going to change and has changed by state law. So what does that mean for us, and how does that relate to the schedule or a 7-period day? It's really about flexibility. The goal of the graduation requirement was to eliminate some of the mandates in relation to what students had to take. For example, students had to take classes in the fine arts and also foreign language. And now those classes are not mandatory, but they have increased and put a number on what is called pathways. Pathways is what the student wants to do. In other words, they're trying to meet what the student wants and is interested in, and match that with their ICAP and their pathway. So now students that want to, for example, be in the arts, they can take more arts classes, and they don't have to take necessarily foreign language. Or if you have a student that's in ag, that ag student can take more agricultural classes and doesn't have to take, let's say, the arts classes. So all those things, there is a flexibility component built in to this new change in the graduation requirements. So that makes it an excellent time for us to seize the moment and change the way in which we are looking at and where we are doing our schedule. Currently, right now, one of the things that we struggle with the block scheduling is we look at one of the metrics that we discussed earlier was chronic absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism is not a problem just at Claremore. It is not a problem just in the state of Oklahoma. It literally is a problem that is sweeping across the United States educationally. We can't control that, but what we believe is that because of the block schedule, the schedule actually magnifies an absence. So let me give you some numbers to go through. If you look at, for example, the current calendar year that we currently have, there are 81 days in the first semester, and there are 92 days in the second semester. So 173 total days of instruction. So if you look at the 81 days, if you miss 1 day in the current block, it is equivalent to 2 full days of instruction that you are missing. So face-to-face instruction, the more face-to-face instruction time we get, the better chance we believe that we will have to increase student learning. So why is that important? Well, if you look at, for example, if you look at all of the 81 days and the 92 days of the block, and you compare that to a 173-day class period, what is the difference of face-to-face instructional time? Let me tell you what the difference is. In the first term, for example, let's just take English, for example. If I'm taking English 1 in the first block, I am getting roughly 6,660 minutes of face-to-face instruction. If that same class, English 1, is spread over the entire year of 173 days, that is almost 9,000 minutes of instruction. There are 37 hours of face-to-face instruction difference in that. Again, I'm going to go back to, if we believe that face-to-face time is critical and it's important, and we can increase student learning, does it not make sense that if we can magnify that, increase that, and reduce the impact of an absence, doesn't that make sense as far as increasing student learning? So once again, what's the difference? The difference is 37 hours of face-to-face instruction for the first term. The other problem is there's always inequity between the first semester and the second semester. Always will be. Doesn't matter what schedule we have, it will absolutely always be that way. But understand what we're looking at is, what is the impact on our students? We're looking at impact. So if you look at the difference between 81 days and 92 days of the second term, again, there is still the same discrepancy. And even if you're in the second semester in your absence, it is not quite equivalent to 2 days of absence, but it's really close. It's 1.7 something. So it's very, very close. So again, to try to, instead of taking a schedule that magnifies a problem that we know exists, and by the way is out of our control, then doesn't it make sense that we look at maybe changing that so that we can increase instructional time and increase student learning? Also, it's important as we go back to the pathways and trying to meet students where they are and really trying to get their engagement increased. The reality is we want to give them more classes that they're interested in. So again, that becomes even more relevant. If we can slow down the class or the pace of the classes, give them more classes that they are interested in, then possibly, even though we say we don't have control of the absenteeism, maybe we contribute to it by forcing them into classes they don't want to be in. So maybe we can increase that and give them more pathways. We can increase our attendance. We also talked about programs, and the big question had been, we're going to lose certain programs. So I want to confidently tell you that we're not going to be losing any of the programs. One of the things that we are committed to doing is our mission and our vision, that we're going to be great in academics, we're going to be great in the arts, and we're going to be great in athletics. We're going to be great in all three phases of school. And so this is a huge piece that everyone needs to understand. We are still going to be able to maintain our programs at extremely high levels. It might look a little different, but it's absolutely, we're going to be able to possibly add programs, and we certainly aren't going to lose programming. I think that's really important. The other thing is that please understand that this schedule change is also going to be for the junior high. So the junior high is going to be mirroring the 7-period day at the high school. So why is that important? Well, it's important because as we look at how these two meet together and how they blend, as we look at vertically how they align, we want to front end some of the programming at the junior high so that we can get higher outcomes and higher level learning classes at the high school. So that's critically important. The ability to be able to have teachers at both buildings that we could share that are certified in areas that can actually teach those subjects is critical. Currently, right now, we don't have that luxury. We can't do that. So we are going to be looking at that vertical alignment component in regards to the junior high, as well as how that fits into a 7-period day for the high school. And you look at the high school, for example, if we start more algebra classes, for example, in the 8th grade, more junior high classes, a physical science class at the 8th grade. The new law change also allows us, if you're taking those high school classes, they count towards those actual core requirements. Before that was not the case. This year, for example, if you take an Algebra 1 class, you're getting elective credit for it. It allows you to take geometry or Algebra 2 in your freshman year, but you don't get credit for the core. With the law change in the past spring, they're going to get credit for that class. So not only are we need to front end that, give them higher end classes earlier, now they get credit for the mandatory core class that allows them to move into higher classes as they progress through into high school. As far as the vertical alignment, let's say from an elective perspective, the junior high for a couple of years has struggled to have different types of elective classes. So let's say that we are able to offer a speech class We have a speech teacher at the high school that now can not only teach speech at the high school, but also go over to the junior high and teach speech. So what does that look like in relation to building that type of program or a debate program? So all those things are program builders. And again, we're trying to look at ways in which we can improve our programming, not do away with our programming. Last year, we met with the fine arts teachers, and one of the things that really came out of that meeting is the fact that within the block scheduling, and I'll just use one particular specific example, is jazz band, for example. Jazz band competes in April. They have a competition in April. And we get, or currently the way our schedule is set up, our teachers don't get those students until January. While they are competing in April against districts all over the state that have been with those students all year long. That's just one example of some of the problems that are magnified within block scheduling. Now, there's a lot of great things in block scheduling. There's a lot of great things that are in a 7-period day. What we're going to attempt to do is take both of those and blend it together so that we can be successful for all students. So the next question is how? So what are we doing now, and what is that going to look like? Currently, we have an advisory committee that's being formed at the high school, made up of teachers. Teachers know what the issues are and the problems are at the high school, and so they're going to be working on this for a full year to make it look, what is the schedule going to look like next year? What it could look like, and I think the important thing is, and what I'm excited about with the 7-period schedule is, it's really could be a morphing together of the block schedule and a traditional 7-period day. There can be accelerated classes in the spring. In fact, a great example of that would be, why couldn't we do a AP class that was 2nd and 3rd periods? And if that 2nd and 3rd period is 53 minutes, that's 106 minutes of instruction. Currently, right now, they're only getting 85. More periods of instruction, better learning, same time frame that the AP test is given in May. So there's a lot of positive things. We believe that we can come up and morph together and do a 7-period day better than anybody else is doing it. We have been innovative from the beginning. Historically, as a district, we have not lost that. We're going to continue to do that and try to have the best 7-period day possible for every student so it meets the needs of all students. As with any type of change, it is difficult. But again, I want to emphasize what we were attempting to do. We are not trying to take away anything. What we are trying to do is we are trying to add to programming for all students. As we have always said, we want to be great in all 3 phases. We want to be great in academics. We want to be great in the arts. We want to be great in athletics. And we're committed to doing those things. Nothing is perfect, but if we maintain and stay the same, that is unacceptable. So change has to occur. We're excited about this change. We believe we've got the right people to make those decisions. Certainly, thank you for watching this video. And I know that we haven't answered all of the questions that are going to be asked. As we go through the year, though, we're going to continue to add to this and give you more and more information as we progress through the year. If you've got any questions regarding the block or the scheduling of the junior high or the 7-period day, please feel free to contact us at Fridays with Frazier at claremore.k12.ok.us, or you can always pick up the phone and make a phone call directly to me. Got a lot of great events that are about to happen. Tonight we've got the Claremore Zebras going up against the Tahlequah Tigers at 7 o'clock at Lanto Field. If you can, get out and support the Zebras. Make sure we wear a red and white. It is CYFA Day, so please come out and support Claremore Zebras. Also tomorrow, we've got some great stuff going on. The cheerleaders have qualified for state. They will be performing at 2:50 at the UMAC in Tulsa. Interesting enough, if you don't know this, it's important for crowds to be present, to be involved. They actually receive scoring off of that. So let's get out and support our cheerleaders at 2:50 at the UMAC at Tulsa Union. Also is band. It's got their first competition. So they're going to be at Oologah tomorrow. They're going to be performing in the competition that is the Stallion Battalion. And they are performing, their first event goes off at 2:30. They will absolutely do well enough that they will also have a nighttime performance. So make sure that you've got that within your schedule as well. The following week, on the 4th and the 5th of October, we've got our one-act play that's going to be something that we have not done for quite a while, and we're bringing that back. We want to encourage you to come to the PAC and watch the one-act play Antiqua. That will be on the 4th and the 5th of October. For $5, you can come in and support those kids that have done an amazing job in the one-act play before they compete at the state level. As always, I will say this: it's a great day to be a zebra.